Well, this is a bit of a déjà vu since I've just talked about a product called Halo, but here we are again. In the grand world of YouTube, Instagram, or whatever other platform of choice you have, you will for sure encounter various niches throughout your travels in search of content satisfaction. From musical instruments to audiophile gear, to custom mechanical keyboards, and of course, desk setup videos. I'm a big fan of the last ones. I don't know why, but it's just fun to see what other people come up with and make their spaces their own, and how they incorporate the many little pieces in order to create something whole. One common element in almost every one of those videos is the infamous ScreenBar light, an item that I always wondered whether or not it actually did anything, and even if it did, how well did it do it? For example, does the light really not appear on any screen? What about something as super reflective as my stupidly large TV monitor? Or taking another step back, is there really anybody out there that actually needs a light on their monitor? Or is this just one of those they send it to me so I'm gonna include it in the video products that solely exist on social media but in reality nobody ever uses? Well, ironically BenQ did send me one, and this is the video featuring it. But I'm also very grateful that they did, because this way I'm finally able to check one out and see for myself what all the fuss is about. So stick around if you're curious too. I for one was a bit surprised, but also not that much. Unlike traditional lamps, its construction allows it to be placed in a strategically optimal position, which is the center of your desk if your monitor sits at the center, as opposed to a traditional desk lamp that'll most likely be off to the side to not obstruct your view. Additionally, due to its shape, it also has a much wider spread compared to your cone-shaped classics. Secondly, it improves the well-being of your eyes, and in the case of the Halo, not only by assisting you with improved clarity on what is on the screen, but also with an additional passive light that shines out the back. This is a proven practice. I myself have two Philips play bars set up behind my monitor for the exact same reason. Having this combined in a single unit though is pretty great. The lights can also be individually controlled, so you don't always have to have both on, you can just do either. The illumination itself is pretty bright. In fact, I never had it fully on, as the maximum was complete overkill for daily use. Interestingly, if you have the front and back on at the same time, the max is slightly less. BenQ says this was a design choice to balance the overall brightness, but I wonder why they couldn't have just balanced it at full brightness. Maybe there's something to do with the power limitations from the single USB-A port where it draws its energy from, I don't know. Speaking of power, this lamp has by far the worst energy rating of any product I've ever owned. I've actually never seen a G-rated one before. But just because it is rated G doesn't mean you're going to have to remortgage your house every time you turn it on, it just means it's very inefficient. Like me. It's a bicolor light too, meaning you can change it from 6500 Kelvin to 2700. Now, for video and photographers out there, it's even rated at a respectable CRI of 95, which probably makes it one of the best. It was never intended for content creation, but can also be used as such if in a pinch candidates ever. So in case you want to use this as a prop light or an additional light source for making videos, you can, but it has limitations. For example, it does not have any indication of what color temperature you are on, so matching this with any other light can be a challenge. However, just like video lights, this seems to be flicker-free, even going so far as having collected several certifications to prove it. Now, I'm not an expert on this matter, so I don't know if this is the same level as those very expensive video lights, but my camera seems to like it. Results may vary though. For the curious ones, if we take a closer look at the individual LEDs, we can see how the bicolor output is achieved. It's actually two types that gradually replace each other as you change from colder to warmer and vice versa. The backlight can be set up just as such, however the lights can't be configured individually. Once you've activated or switched to another, the temperature and brightness will be merged or migrated over. When mounted, you can also adjust the light within a 35-degree radius. Now with some fiddling around on the clamp you can get some additional angles, but I suspect that what is available is more than enough for most use cases. Even on my unusually large and reflective screen, it was plenty to get a good angle, and never ever did I see any reflections. To achieve this, BenQ says they created a unique asymmetrical optical design, and I can attest to the validity of that claim. It does work. Now in the middle here we see a small sensor that is used for the lamp to detect and automatically adjust the brightness and temperature. At least I think it automatically sets the temperature. I'm actually not quite sure about that. It definitely changes the brightness, as we can see here when I cover the sensor with my finger, but for the temperature it always resets to the middle. I couldn't get it to change to anything else, but maybe the perfect temperature in my office is exactly the middle. Who knows? As for the brightness, I found the auto level a bit too much for me, but this is a personal thing and it really depends on your preferences. Adjusting it is easy though, at least once you figure out how the control unit works. Included in the BenQ Halo is this beautiful dial that is actually a really nice piece of hardware, smooth and solid to the touch with a decent weight to it. For sure this won't be sliding around on your desk when you make your adjustments. Really, the control unit is so nice that I wish I could connect it to my PC and use it to scrub through my timelines in DaVinci or abuse it for other unnecessary inputs, similar to how a Microsoft dial would work. But it's not perfect. You see, the puck has a very sexy feature of noticing you when you approach it. Just hover your finger over the landing strip in the middle, wait for a couple of seconds and voila, it's ready for your input. Now, in any demo this will look really cool, but in the real world where you would want to change things quickly, this can be a bit annoying. For example, I wish that by simply turning the dial it would immediately react, but it doesn't. That's because the puck has to be activated first before any input can be given, and you do that by hovering over it. So if you're impatient or approach it from the wrong angle, the sensor won't pick you up and your input might be left unanswered. Secondly, if my previous change was on temperature, it would remember that for better or worse, meaning even if you approach it correctly and have the right distance, it might not actually change the setting that you want. This might sound like I'm making a big deal out of nothing, and I probably am, but in the heat of the moment it's really annoying to have to fiddle around this much just to change the brightness. Anyway, I'm a bit picky about these kinds of things because I don't want a lamp to be in the way of me and whatever it is I want or need to be doing. I can't always rely for my brain to be functioning properly. Sometimes I need light when I'm doing a midnight zombie run to the fridge. Coffee. While we're on the subject of complications, the dial does a little more than just change the brightness and temperature. In fact, you have a total of 7 buttons including power. The sensor doubles as your switch between the front and backlight, then to the left of it you'll have your aforementioned auto setting, the temperature just above it, brightness to the right of that, and lastly the favorite button where you can store one configuration combo to recall on command. You do this by setting up everything like you want, including which light should be on, and then holding the heart icon until everything flashes 3 times. After that, whenever you feel like you need that special something, just hit the heart, after approaching it from the right angle and waiting a couple of seconds of course. Alright, that was a lot of technical jargon, but how is it to actually daily drive one of these? Well, it depends on what you hope to use it for. The claim that it'll help you with your daily eye strain is something that I unfortunately can't confirm, or at least not with the set of eyes I'm currently rocking. I always found it to be a little distracting. It felt as if it was in the way of what I was trying to see on my screen. I don't know if this has something to do with the type of monitor I'm using, the brightness setting or something else, but I just couldn't get used to it. Now, just for clarification, my room is pretty well lit and I'm not a person who likes to work in the dark. There are those who prefer pitch black environments exclusively lit by their monitors, but that's not me. I want all the brightness that I can get. So I was a bit surprised by this outcome, but it just felt more natural, more relaxing without it. The best description I can give you is that even on its lowest setting, regardless of the temperature, it always felt a little harsh. Now that doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. I think that although the ScreenBar has a very clear problem it tries to solve, it is still a very personal preference of whether or not you like this solution to the problem. The backlight, however, is great, especially if you don't already have something like this in place, and the Halo can be a really convenient solution to this. Another great moment of convenience was when I used it as a temporary lighting solution to focus on desk-related tasks. For example, over the last couple of months I've been making quite a few videos about keyboards, and while doing so I repeatedly had to take them apart, look at keycaps, open up switches and loop them to my heart's content. And never was I happier to have an additional light source than then. The added luminance you get from this focused beam that covers your entire desk is a real help, and I was happy to have it. This goes beyond making videos, of course. If you just need to quickly write something down late at night, a lamp can be a nice help instead of having to initiate the boot up sequence of your entire station. With the much larger spread of the already in place position lamp, it actually gets the job done pretty quickly. That is, if you ignore the cumbersome way of how to turn it on. This brings me to the main issue I have with the Halo. Tools should never be in the way of what you're trying to accomplish. Their job is to support you along the way, and as my guitar teacher once told me, the best guitar is the one that you don't notice. In the case of the Halo, this was unfortunately not the case. The dial is too fiddly, the light too distracting for me, and the placement blocks my webcam, which I need so my peers at the office can confirm that I'm still a human. Although there is an accessory you can get to remedy that. The webcam placement, not the human part. That's a lost cause. I like the Halo, in the sense that I like what it tries to do. I like its very solid and premium feeling construction, I like its impressive technical abilities, and I like that when I really needed it, it was there. But just like my PRS guitar, which is arguably the most beautiful and premium guitar that I own, I don't like playing it all that much. There's just something that bothers me about it. It just doesn't feel effortless, and neither does the Halo. Maybe there is a lightbar out there that would work for my setup, maybe even one of the cheaper models that BenQ makes. Maybe all I need is just a dumb lamp with a simple on-off switch. The Halo, however, does so much more, but it comes at a price, one that gets in the way of something that should be as easy as flicking a switch. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video, and thanks to BenQ again for sending me the Halo ScreenBar. This was a very interesting video to make, and I hope it brightened up your day a little bit. If you want to know more, check out the links in the description below. I also want to thank you all for the 10,000 subscriber mark that was reached last week. This is pretty incredible, and I don't know what better way to end this year than have such an amazing milestone reached, all thanks to you. I also want to thank you all for the incredible positive response to the Q&A post already. It's really amazing, and I don't know what else to say, but thank you again. Anyway, more cool things to come, and thank you, and see you in the next one. Bye.